Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Lines Forever. Today, I have a 5v5 custom match here on the most amazing Neuroxis map generator. Let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the southwest, ending with Team 2 in the northeast. Starting off with Team 1's front-ish line player is Nasimka, going first line as a Cybran. He is in 1900, the highest rated player on Team 1 and in the game overall, and he is in Stitch Blue. To his north, we have the other frontline player for Team 1. It is Dot Kolbasa going first line as a Seraphim in Batman Gray. He is a 1300. To his south in Regal Purple, we have Puck Jr. going first line as a Cyberin. He is a 1200. In Snow White to his northwest is another Seraphim for Team 1. It is Fur going first line as a 1600. He's going first land. And in the northwest corner of Team 1's lineup, we have in Royal Blue, Loopy going first air as a Cybran is an 1100. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have only Cybran and Seraphim, that being 3 Cybrans and 2 Seraphim, which means Team 1 lacks Aeon and UBF technology. Starting off with Team 2's northernmost player in Pac-Man Yellow, we have Original Angel going first line as an Aeon. He is a 1200. In Emerald Green to his east is Blazer O Flasher going first land, second air as a Cybran. He is a 1400. In Ruby Red to his southeast is Dragon Slayer going first land, second air as a UEF as a 1600. In Forest Green, in the middle of the map here for Team 2, it is Bohanak Hakti going first line as a Seraphim. He is a 1300. And rounding out Team 2's lineup in the southeastern section of their lineup, we have Breaking Bad going first land, second air as a UEF in that lightest rated. No, that is Barbie Pink. And again, he is the highest rated player on Team 2. Speaking of Team 2 overall, they have 2 UBF, 1 Cybran, 1 Seraphim, and 1 Aeon, which means Team 2 has all of the factions in the game on their team. Team 1, of course, lacks Aeon and UBF tech. And for 10 players on the map, let's see how much reclaim they have to scoop up. Not a whole lot, only about 500 mass per player, being about 5,000 in total for the entire game. And in terms of mass point layouts, there are a ton of them on this map, and realistically there's only a small grouping of mexes in terms of like number of groupings. We have 1 Trimex position here and another Trimex down here. Besides that, everything else is just kind of widespread, almost like a shotgun blast, and just sent it everywhere. There is a nice upper plateau section over here that our players definitely going to be fighting over. It's not super isolated. You can obviously get some artillery shots from down here, but I don't think there's any way into it via the normal land, so it has to be transports or teleports. Highly doubt it's going to be teleport, obviously, this early in the game, or even to the point where it's going to be claimed by a team. I don't see any instance where one team has one section of it, one team has the other. It's going to be an all or nothing thing in the uppermost plateau of the game, and a large section of the northwestern corner is a bunch of mountains. No land can obviously be put up there. So it's going to be most likely just a bunch of AA facilities over here along these edges, just to ensure that there's no incursions from those air players that I expect to be for Original Angel and Loopy, just due to their positioning on the map. We are seeing a decent amount of spam outbound from Original Angel, so I might be wrong, and maybe we'll see Dragon Slayer being their air player, or even Blazer or Flasher. Those positions possibly could be air as well. Let's go ahead and see what our players are up to here in this game. We do see some movement outbound from the frontline players of Team 1, that being both Dot and Nasimka. We do see a little bit of movement outbound from Team 2, that being from Dragon Slayer, and a little bit here from Original Angel. It's going to be a long walk for him, especially because he's going to be curtailed by just the avenue that he has to walk in. There's a little plateau that's going to get in his way, so he has to go around. But he is sending some units here to try to claim the lower section of this plateau area, or at least the bottom section of that, just to secure the area, probably preventing any sort of artillery from really building up on the edges. But there is a drop outbound from Team 1's Loopy going for a nice section of some land factories. I don't expect that to be the only one, and as I speak, there is another one. Looks like he's going to establish a nice land facility up there. I don't, again, expect this to be a huge issue for one team or the other to grab. I just don't see a lot of effort going to be put here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of conflict in the early game over this, because there's 8 mexes up here, and most of them could easily be guarded. These two essentially being the only ones that are going to be a little bit annoying to guard, with, of course, artillery running by. Speaking of run-bys, there's a little bit of an attempt outbound from Original Angel trying to go after the backline infrastructure and engineers here for Dot. Does look like some of those units are able to get on by, but there is the comm of Loopy nearby, so that engagement's not going to work out too well here for Original Angel, but at least the attempt has been made, and it does distract some of those forces out from Dot and pulls them away from the front line, allowing Team 2's forces to move a little bit more easily towards the middle of the map. Second transport has landed here for Blazer of Flasher in that plateau section. It's going to be a 2v1 up here. And just based on the numbers, lots of span factories going to be established for both of these players, I would surmise. And Bombers already on their case, taking out a couple of those engineers and the radar facility, blinding Team 1 on that upper plateau. In the southeast, for Team 2, starting to expand outward. There's a decent amount of mexes, a decent being 4 mexes in kind of a nice little alcove, essentially. There's only one way to get in and out. There's no kind of using the edge of the map. You have to go around it unless you use a transport, which is happening right now from Puck Jr. But most of the concentration of combat is going down on that upper plateau. Both teams want it, but Team 2 wants it more than Team 1 does, as evidenced by, of course, 2 teammates dropping some sort of land force down there. And with that last T1 land facility being bombarded by both air and ground units, I don't see that really lasting for Team 1 anytime soon. Does look like it's going to be possibly a 2v2 here in the southeastern section of the middle. We do see a couple of units try to run by Breaking Bad's position. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get much of anything work done. Dragon Slayer is nearby, but he's busy going for one of his land factories, trying to use the mechs right here to get some nice adjacency, but it's owned by somebody else, which means he does not get that adjacency bonus. And these 2 little Mantis doing a really good job of just taking out one-off mexes. I think they've taken out at least 3, 4 of them at a minimum, so that's 8 mass a second, plus more Mantis over here, so that's a decent amount of mass being lost per second for Breaking Bad. He needs to get on and start plugging those holes. We are seeing 3 comms down the middle here for Team 2, so it looks like it's going to be possibly 2v3, if not 3v3, if Loopy comes to assist. But as of right now, it's just a 2v3 in favor of Team 2. Some units try to run by, but again, there's 3 comms, and those units are not going to get anywhere. Both Bo and Blaze are able to respond to that very quickly, with Original Angel making sure they don't retreat back to their home territory. T2 has been starting here for Dot in the west-ish. It's kind of hard to imagine west because it is, I'd say that's the direct middle. And there's not really anything northwest that Team 1 or Team 2 can realistically do on land, obviously, due to those mountains. We do see one player on each team using this section of the map to get some units behind, or actually in the middle here. There's a little bit of reclaim to grab, and it looks like they might build a radar system. That'd be very good use of map there. It looks like T1 engineers have landed, building some T1 PD for defensive measures. It looks like Loopy is distracted a little bit. He doesn't see them yet. Nice surprise attack. Probably will be dealt with very quickly, but it's going to be annoying at a minimum, which is obviously the bread and butter of FAF, is just annoying your opponents as much as you can. Just example, obviously, all these Mantis on the edge finally being destroyed by Breaking Bad, but he lost a decent amount of mass income from that. Has to rebuild to regain that. Gives a little bit of time for Team 1 to get some sort of advantage. Looks like we're seeing a split up here for Nasimka and Puck Jr. Puck Jr. focusing the southern edge, while Nasimka focusing the middle of the map here. And of course we see the west here with most of the comms for Team 2 actually over here. And Dragon Slayer actually shifting westward. There's more units out coming from Team 1's Nasimka, just constantly raiding, going over here, going over here, going over here, constantly just trying to keep Team 2 on their toes. Love to see that. Again, it's not about inflicting mass damage. It's more about inflicting annoying damage. How much do you have to, again, spend your APM, your engineers, whatever, to go with those units, kill them, rebuild the mexes, resend engineers out there. that sort of thing. It all takes time. Transport with some more Mantis dropping behind the comm of Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's going for an engineering suite upgrade right now, so he's rooted to the spot. That will finish it pretty shortly. Gun speed and range has been started for Puck Jr. and decently far forward, but there's not a lot of units around him in terms of Team 2s. There are some, but those don't pose as much of a threat as if their numbers were doubled or even tripled. Gun speed and range has been started for Bohanak Hakti, or Bo for short, in the north with those group of not engineers, but comms around him. But Dot Kolbasa pushing forward with his team in a Furfur to try to PD creep against Team 2. It's been pretty effective so far. Blazer taking a ton of damage from it. Has dropped into the yellow and is about 50% about the 50% mark on his hit points remaining. So just be very careful with how much he uses his comms. Still units from Nasimka constantly raiding a Breaking Bad, just constantly affecting him. We see now roving bands of units for Breaking Bad to try to deal with this, but every time he does, Nasimka drops or sends more units in a different way, or a different tactic, or just down a different path, whatever the case may be. These strikers are in range, going to take out those Mantis very quickly. But again, the damage is done. Constantly losing mass income for Team 2 is devastating. Benefit for them, of course, is they have a nice upper plateau section in that base in the west being built behind Loopy, being built to great effect, trying to build some T2 PD to try to deal with this T1 PD creep. But the T2 air headquarters for him is about to go down. T2 Mechs also about to go down. He's losing all of his mass income. He's sitting at 7 mass per second. That is not a lot of mass, especially sitting at T2. And that facility will most likely go down. Actually, it will go down, it looks like. And he's going to be severely handicapped here in this game. I don't know if there's another player. There is going for air. That is Furfur. He has T3 air online at 10 minutes. Another T3 air facility will be established here for Puck Jr. So 3 players on Team 1 were going for air. Highly aggressive airplay here from them. So far, I mean, one of those players have been stopped, but the other 2 will be perfectly fine. In the northeast, I don't see any other huge emphasis. We see T2 air has been established, and no one else fully committing to air on Team 2, which means Team 1 will have a huge advantage. Seraphim not ASS, but Seraphim Tech in terms of air is highly effective. I thought I heard an explosion, but I guess that was something else. Anyway, we see Team 2's Breaking Bad trying to PD creep down the middle, and in the west we see both of those comms of Fervor and Dot still pushing back Team 2's comms, and it's 3v2. Bo is in the red, Angel's back in the green, Blazer's back in the green, but these 2 comms are perfectly fine hanging out, just building more PD and defense. Is that a missile? That's missile defense. I thought it was missile launcher. And where Team 1 is winning down the middle, they are losing a little bit in the, or over here in the west, a little bit in the middle, and then of course an entire comms base is just being destroyed. Loopy does have T2 PD online, going to be able to deal with these T1s. But again, the damage is done. Knocking out an entire player from the game for a while is really going to hurt Team 1, especially in this moment going forward. He's essentially knocked out, which it doesn't make it a 5v4, but you can kind of think it like a 5v4 because everything he's going to be doing now is rebuilding everything that he had, and that's going to be probably for the next 10 minutes because he is now essentially starting from scratch. We see gun speed and range has been started here for Nasimka. PD right next door. If Breaking Bad can see him, yes he can. Some of those PD can shoot him. More PD are being built. Looks like he's just barely out of range. Gun speed and range has been finished off for Nasimka, but it'll be forced back by the multitudes of PD being built and units coming in from the west to try to just distract Nasimka while those more and more PD get built. More facilities trying to be established to try to hold off Team 2's advance. It looks like so far that middle is collapsing. We do see at the same time though Puck Jr. trying to force back Breaking Bad's forces to try to distract him enough, but there's a lot of incoming assistance from Dragon Slayer from the north. It looks like a firing line has started to shape up, but there are some T3 units online here for Nasimka now. They are those loyalists. They're weaker than the pricks, but again, they are T3, not to be trifled with. Breaking Bad only has T2, and Nasimka has only guns, so 1 defense, 1 offense. I feel like at this point, Breaking Bad should switch to T1 PD because they're cheaper and they really fire very quickly. They're able to really do a lot of damage to very close units that are essentially really, really close. And Puck Jr. not giving up, continue to press, does have 1-star veterancy. The Simca just got his 1-star veterancy, and Breaking Bad starting to work on his. But these comms over here to the north here for both Dot and Fervor not leaving anytime soon. Bo is back in the yellow. Original Angel and Dragon Slayer have started to retreat, as well as Blazer. It's not even 20 minutes yet, and they're already retreating to their main bases. I feel like that's not necessary right now. And they could be using their comms a little bit more aggressively. I get they don't want to be sniped, but there's one air player and a secondary player down here in the air. And if they know that, which they do, they're probably starting to think about maybe there's going to be an early bomber, maybe there's going to be a lot of gunships. They don't want to be killed off very quickly, and being further in their territory is better than nothing. It's better than dying, essentially. Breaking Bad trying to establish this facility, has knocked out the Simca for the time being, but Team 1 bombers over approach, trying to target those PD. I would surmise going after the comm isn't really worth it. They will target that PD, almost kill it off, but it did have 1-star veterancy, so it's able to regen just barely and get, of course, a little bit more hit points. Now those little bit of hit points will save it from death. We do see a nice outpouring of units outbound from Dot from the west, trying to distract Team 2's supply lines. We see T3 gunship. Whalers are online. Flak being built as we speak in response. Going to take a second to chew through those 6,000, almost 6,000 hit points on board those gunships. And Puck Jr. is nearby. Does have 2-star veterancy. Could easily come and assist with his gunships, but doesn't want to push too far in just in case Team 2 has more reinforcements coming in, which they do, but it's going to take a minute to get there. And ASF's numbers climbing here for Team 1 Snow White player of Fervor. Again, he's sitting here with his teammate of Dot just pushing forward just with his comm while he's building up his air forces. That might start to shift in Team 1's favor. I mean, it's already in their favor, but it might continue to shift in their favor as time goes on. The only thing that Team 2 so far is winning is the mass game at over 500 mass income versus Team 1's 330. So while map control is starting to shift in some directions in one way or the other, Team 2 can increase production if they so desire to, but Team 1, because they're hyper-focused on air, at least 2 players are, they're really able to pump out those ASFs very, very quickly. Bombers going after Breaking Bad's commander. He will drop in the yellow, but he does have some mobile flak nearby, and he does have a group of units nearby with more AA as well, so he should be fine for the time being. He will lose a chunk of hit points, but there's no worries of death here for him at the current moment. We do see Original Angel trying to punch through the shields and defensive line for Fervor and Dot, but so far, no dice. We do see a couple of, actually those are Medusa, not Lobos. Medusa just kind of sitting on that plateau waiting for units to run on by, but the range is very limited. I'm kind of surprised that Team 2 isn't putting more emphasis up here. Could easily build artillery and just kind of shell this position, essentially, quote-unquote, from behind. But he's not doing that as of yet. It essentially would distract Team 1 at a minimum from focusing both the west and the eastern approaches just instead of just the east. But those defenses are starting to fall. There's a decent amount of missile launchers spamming out those missiles. There's about probably 2, 5, 9 of them so far. That's a decent chunk. And those Team B are starting to fail. There's only so much they can do. Once they take out the radar facility, that's definitely going to hamper Team 1's ability to really know what's going on. I don't see any other radar. Well, there's one down here from the Simca, so giving a little bit more vision. I always say vision, but it's radar for himself. And his team gun speed has been started for Original Angel. Probably will go for range next. Maybe even go for advanced range and just push Team 1's comms out. Range has been started. That upgrade is going very, very quickly. Does he have mass in his bar? He does have a little bit, and he has a couple of engineers to assist, but that advanced range upgrade is going very, very quickly. And I would not be surprised to see him push Team 1 back. Both through gunships are online. And he doesn't have any AA to protect his missile launcher investment, so it's going to start to gain some losses, lose some troops very, very quickly there. It's only one gunship, so it's not too bad. There's even some interceptors nearby, but they're not being tasked with dealing with this. But there is an ASF. They should be able to deal with that gunship very, very quickly. Original Angel does finish with that Aeon Sniper Commander. And units in from Team 1's Dot trying to push back Original Angel, but unfortunately not going to happen. There are some units outbound as well trying to assist with some raiding also going down here from Team 1's Simca, just using those bricks more and more, because he does have T3 online. He's made that transition very quickly. And they are slower, but they fire very, very quickly and are able to deal with a lot of spam, obviously just very, very quickly. Mobile missile launches being deployed by Nuke as well, but there is some TMD online. It's not the best, and due to the fact that they are Siren mobile missiles launchers, able to split, so they still do some damage. It's definitely a significant amount less, but it's still something, which is always better than nothing. Bo coming in with his gun and Nano Commander here, trying to force back those bricks. One of them does receive an overcharge, but Bo doesn't have as much in reserves as he definitely needs to really force back those higher tiered HP units. And we have a couple of these Ilshis kind of just holding position, but there's a lot of missile launchers. If they don't start moving, they're going to die very, very quickly. Two of them already killed off. Ilshi's going to push in. Fortunately, more PD are being built, also with that Aeon Sniper Commander with the shield on board. He's really proven himself to be quite a force here. Doesn't want to push in, though, due to the gunship threat that Team 1 can pose. So he's just kind of being reserved, waiting for his opponent to attack him so he can use his comm more effectively. I like the strategy, but I wish he would push a little bit more with some AA, just so that he can start, again, forcing Team 1 back. The comms are already retreating, but you at least try to gain a little bit more territory on Team 1. And a brick gets swarmed down here in the south. It looks like the middle for Team 2 is kind of broken up. Team 2 have been forced to fall back quite significantly due to the raiding operation from the Simca, and a little bit here from Dot, but at least mainly from the Simca. He's proven just very annoying for Team 2 to deal with, essentially. And that brick is almost alive, or it's like almost dead. Couple of bombs, couple of shots will come in and take out the comm. There we go. The comm take out the unit. Bo? Like enemy? Or referencing somebody? I don't know what he's talking about. Back says Nasimka, so trying to assist his teammate of Puck, being like, hey, probably a good idea you fall back. It is about that 20-minute mark in the game where most teams have T3 air online and start pumping out either ASFs, gunships, or both. We do see some gunships coming in to raid Team 2's backline mexes, mainly against Dragon Slayer being the air, actually not even being the air player, just getting, well, he's going for air, but doesn't even have an air grid online, doesn't have T3 air online, just T1. And some lightning tanks do come in. There's a couple of Voltus remaining, but the Whalers have been dealt with. Voltus, again, not as strong as Whalers, but definitely one of my favorite, I think, unit designs in the game. Again, they kind of remind me of those helicopters from Dune, except they don't have those wings or whatever. I need to watch that movie again. I haven't seen the second one, so I need to sit down and probably watch 1 and 2 back to back. Anyway, air grid is being established here by Blazer in the north. And I do feel like Team 2, there is a player going for air again as well, but they might need 3, because if Team 1's Loopy, once he comes back into the game, it's going to be 3 air players. It's going to be a lot of production to fight against, and they realistically need, essentially a 1v1, unless one player just decides to go for a bunch of AA and call it a day. That is one way to lock out one team's air, is just make it very, very difficult to really get anything done with their air by just causing them significant losses on their way to the target. It essentially forces them to go for artillery, nukes, Novaxes, essentially game enders, or land. It doesn't completely eliminate air, but it makes it just very annoying to deal with, essentially. But at 21 minutes on the clock, let's take a look at the game overall. Both teams have not had a casualty as of yet. Map control sits a little bit in favor of Team 2, I would say. The middle is definitely kind of no man's land, kind of a little bit more fluid. Team 2 has that upper plateau, 8 mexes as in that plateau, and of course the northwestern section of the map devoid of anything, because it's inhospitable. It's not really useful. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game. Of course, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. And for those of you who haven't subscribed and come to see yourselves come back on the regular, please, why not subscribe? Because you're already coming back anyways. And let's go ahead and see what's going on with this drop. Outbound from Breaking Bad. Drops off one lonely little Percy. The Percy is very effective against, one target or just a small amount of targets. I mean, it does a lot of damage per shot. 1800 mass. 1800 hit points drops it down to, 300, so essentially 1500 damage per shot. But the problem is, I mean, this would be a lot more effective if it was Titans, I feel like, because they're able to run around the map a lot better. And Percy will get another Mechs killed off. So in terms of mass values, it will start to favor Team 2, but it's going to be a long time for that Percy to really do anything more besides go after these 2 Mechs. Is there that transport? Do not tell me that transport's coming to pick up that Percy. Really? Wow. Okay, actually it's going to move. So not only... I mean, I could have... you probably should have brought... No, don't even need to bring it back, I think. Gunships are inbound, though. We'll drop again going after this Mech up here. Transport will get shot down because the Tentacle was on the ground for a brief moment. Percy will be able to fire, take out another T2 Mechs here against Loopy. Loopy's just receiving tons of punishment here from Team 2. And that Percy will die. Killed off 4,000 mass, so was it worth it? I don't know. But it's definitely annoying, so I'll give Breaking Bad that. I feel like they should have been Titans, though, in my opinion. Obviously, Titans don't do as much damage as a Percy individually, but they move quicker, so you didn't really need that transport to come back a second time. In the East, Bricks just ravaging Team 2's front line of mainly just Team 1. A couple of T2 units here. We see some mobile artillery as well just take out tons and tons of units per shot. I feel like at this point, Breaking Bad should really transition to mainly T3 units. Sitting at 23 minutes on the clock, he does have T3 tech, as illustrated by that Percy, and we see a couple of other units running around. There's also a Cougar online for some AA. And look at this, Team 2 falling back, essentially. Team 1 doing a very good job, specifically Nasimka, of just pushing Team 2 back. Puck Jr. falling back. And we see, of course, just Nasimka really expanding out. I think some of those structures were Puck Jr.'s, but he handed them over to Nasimka. I feel like Puck Jr. would have had more stuff down, or did have more stuff down here, but it looks like he transferred it over, going to focus more on his air production facilities. Nasimka is doing a very good job of just really forcing back Team 2. I mean, all by his lonesome, he's forcing back essentially 2 players. One of them not really focused on land, that being Dragon Slayer. He's now focused on air, but really forcing back his opponent of Breaking Bad. Bricks running on the edge, constantly distracting, splitting large groups of forces up, and again, just pumping up mainly T3 units, a couple of flak units, as well as some deceivers, and no mobile shields, of course, but some T3 air as AA as well. And really, it's just really hampered Team 2's ability to fight back. They just don't have the tech, or they don't have the number of units to really fight back the Bricks. Percy's would be enough, but there's not that many for Team 2's Breaking Bad to really use. I'm assuming he is producing more as we speak, but the numbers do favor Nasimka quite significantly in that count. He's sitting at 322 mass income versus Breaking Bad, the opponent he's facing, at only 90. So a huge mismatch in ecos here between Team 1 and Team 2. Also illustrates just the power that, I mean, that's what, over 3 times the amount of mass per second, and that's why he's able to pump out so many units very, very quickly, and why Team 2's Breaking Bad still mainly on T1, T2 unit phase. Start experimental, says Blazer. I mean, maybe it is 25 minutes. We could see that on the cards. That would probably be best for Blazer. Yeah, Blazer to start. Actually, is Blazer the one that said it? No, Blazer is the one that said it. So talking about probably maybe Fat Boy possibly. If not, go for Monkey. And he is the air player who's focused on air, so I get that. I don't see any efforts by Team 2 to go for experimental as of yet. We could see a Colossus. We could see all the land experimentals. Fat Boy will be started here. But I feel like the first one for a Fat Boy probably isn't the best idea. Probably Colossus or Monkey would be the best. Even a Chicken. Any of those 3 would be the best in this situation, just due to the fact Team 1 is really specifically Nasimka is really forcing Team 2 back on essentially now multiple fronts. Now going on again on the eastern edge of the map, both in the middle. It's drawn out some forces from Bo to come and assist as well. And still holding charges. A lot of no man's land, so even if Team 2 fights into Team 1's territory, there's really nothing they're gaining. They're essentially just gaining lost territory they once had. But now at the ecos, Team 1 sitting at 1.4k, Team 2 at 1,000. The eco lead has shifted quite significantly in Team 1's favor. Now we're seeing mobile missile launches being able to push back Dot. He does have T2 nano and gun on board that commander. Could easily just push in. There are some harbingers, not as many I would assume for him to worry about, but he's being overly cautious. I don't blame him. No one wants to be the first dead unless you're really going for something. I mean, you could go for something and still not die, but it's always hard to be the first one out. I mean, in any game, regardless of if it's FAF or board game or whatever the case may be. Bo running around. He does have the regen or nano and gun on board, so able to keep his units alive a little bit longer. Facing down some mobile T3 artillery here from Nasimka. Again, trying to keep his opponent's units moving, trying to keep that APM being spent. Nuke says dot. No, they're building a Colossus. That is from Original Angel. Team 1, are you building anything in terms of experimentals at this point? There is a monkey right here. It's in the yellow. About 50% done. Nice expansion of land grid here for dot. Looks like more P-gens, more shields, SMD being built. Just for any sort of nasty surprise that Team 2 might incur on Team 1. An early nuke would definitely shake up the game here, but I don't see that anywhere. At least I don't see really any emphasis for something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's building it somewhere and I just don't see it. Would not be the first time that I missed it. In the west, very quiet here. A couple of missile launchers, a couple of sniper bots. That's really it. It's really nothing going down. I think Dot's being a little bit more conservative, kind of just building up his massive T3 Authams. And again, obviously, he was expanding out that grid, but has decided to stop for a time. And still bricks start to prevail against the Perseus, at least ever so slightly. If the Perseus are not grouped together, the bricks win that fight. The Perseus are starting to fight back. Interceptors sitting on the ground, going to act as some cannon fodder distractions here for those Perseus. But so far, they're not engaging in the west. Essentially, Nasimka trying to attack his opponent at any angle that he can on the eastern edge, down the middle, down the other middle, down the western side of that middle, and then hooking around. You can see Bo just running around a wall section, trying to keep his units online and alive. We see 3 armies here for Team 2. And ASFs move in from Blazer of Flasher, going after those bombers. Will Team 1's air respond? Yes, they will. And then definitely the numbers favor Team 1's Fervor. If I can select the right player to select how much ASF he has. He has 22 Geminis, so Cybrin, and 68 of those Seraphim ASFs. So sitting at about 90, actually 90 exactly. A little more than that now. And Team 2's Blazer sitting at 105, so definitely comparable air forces here between both of the air players. And a couple ASFs for Dragon just to have. I think he might be handing over his ASF there. Well, no, I guess it's Cybrin and UEF, so you would see that difference in units. Yeah, I don't see any difference. It's just Cybrin. Spy planes over the top here for Blazer, getting a nice read on what Team 1 is doing. That's a necessity that always has to happen. You always got to have some sort of intel gathering operations happening. I mean, especially every couple of minutes, especially when you hit 30 minutes, you need to know, is your opponent building a nuke? Speaking of which, Nuke has been established by Team 1's Puck Jr. And this is going to be a good opening here for them. Probably either going for the air player or going for one of the frontline land players. Most likely probably breaking Bad's base, if not the base over here. They could go for the air grid back here for Blazer. That'd be a great grab, but I don't know if they'll get it. They need to. Somebody on Team 2 needs to spam out an SMD. Oh, it's not going to be a fun day. Colossus is online. Second one being bumped into by the first one. I wonder where that Colossus is going. Looks like it might be going here. Trying to disrupt the front lines down there. Bricks still ravaging the countryside over here in the southeast, and still, look at this. Constantly pushing back. Monkey also being included in that lineup. And it's definitely one of those back and forths, but every time Team 1 falls back, Team 2 pushes in, and then Team 1 shoves them back even further. So it's essentially just a seesaw, just going back and forth, and eventually it's just going to favor Team 1. And there already are, of course, engineers scooping up mass and also grabbing those mechs points as well. So supercharging the eco of Nasimka both in the reclaim field and in the per second game. Again, that discrepancy at 1.9 versus 1.5 for Team 1 and Team 2 respectively. And no one has died before 30 minutes. It's definitely been a while since I've casted a game where no one has died before 30 minutes. Usually somebody dies before 20, and like 90+% of the time somebody dies before 30. Monkey Lord running around again. Doesn't really have very great AA or just secondary fire, but it's something. Its main weapon, of course, is the laser, but it really needs to get close in range. Those Percies from Team 2 will wipe out that monkey very, very quickly, so Simpkin has to be very cautious with how far he pushes in, because it's not that much of it massed up for the monkey, but it is a chunk. I think it's like 9-something thousand mass or something about that, because it's about 80% tops of what the unit can leave, so it just makes a difference of how many shots go into it after it becomes a wreck, because it reduces the amount of mass that's there. Don't see any efforts to build SMD anywhere. I just see Intel and T3 land or air. There is an SMD over here, going to get underneath some shield coverage, but I don't see one up here. And I don't see one over here. I definitely see Team 1's Puck Jr. going after Breaking Bad, especially if he can put it right here and he takes out this whole land facility and the main base for Breaking Bad. That would be devastating for Team 2's front line in that eastern side SMD. How's the nuke going? The nuke is almost loaded, so Team 1 looks like they're going to nuke. Okay, they're not going to nuke. I was going to question if they're going to nuke the plateau, but they're not. They're going to go after the air grid. I mean, it's not defended by an SMD as of yet. The SMD is still loading, and if Team 1 launches that immediately, that'll be a huge win. So even better than taking out the land facilities. Taking out the air production is great, so even if Team 2 wins an air fight, Team 1 can easily outproduce Team 1, especially with multiple people going for ASF producing facilities. Alwasaw Bomber is already in the yellow, almost in the green, and Nuke is outbound. It will land. I mean, when you notice the nuke too late, there is an SMD over here. It will not load in time. Heavy assistance going down here from Angel and, of course, from Blazer, but he is moving out of range, knowing that that nuke is inbound. And we do see, of course, Dragon moving as well. Everybody except for Breaking Bad, who's going for an upgrade. He doesn't think it's on the front line. Same thing here with Bo. Obviously, they can see it at this point, so they know that it's inbound. And that nuke will land at 33 minutes, almost on the dot. Move, please, says Fervor. GG, top team. Boom. Takes out the secondary air grid and essentially the entire primary air grid. Of course, there's a couple of P-gens left, just barely alive, but the T3 air headquarters is destroyed, which means Team 2 lacks ASF producing facilities from Blazer specifically. I mean, there is a second T3 air facility over here for Dragon, but he's really not pumping out ASF. He's mainly just having it just in case, essentially, which is nice to have, but I don't know if it's the best call. He's producing a lot of land. He has a Fat Boy online trying to force back Team 1's lineup. And again, every time that Team 1 falls back, Team 2 engages. Essentially what Team 1 wants. They want the mass on their side of the map, so when they push back on Team 2, their engineers can come and reclaim and continue moving forward. Essentially use that mass to build something else. The gap is starting to widen once again. Looks like ASF being transferred to Fervor as well. ASF fight is going to occur. The Alwasaw Bomber is going to drop its first payload, land on top of a couple of parashields and on top of some Percies as well. Not the best grouping, but definitely a decent amount, killing off 16,000. ASFs will engage. They're going to hunt down that bomber. I think the numbers do favor Team 2. I'm trying to count really quickly. Let's see, 100 and falling, and Fervor 100 and falling as well. But the huge engagements here from Team 1 get a nice couple of turns in. Actually, looks like the ASF are waiting for that bomber to drop. And Team 2 will lose air and control and everything, but they did kill off a bomber, so that's something. Unfortunately, I don't know if that was worth it. Luffy says 2 GCs. We're going to face off against a Colossus over here in the west. But again, Team 1 will have air dominance, if not supremacy at this point. They're sitting at 100 ASFs. And Team 2, of course, sitting at probably like 5. I mean, they have 5. Yeah, not really a whole lot. A couple of strap bombers built up, but not really a whole lot in air-to-air combat. Fat Boy is retreating, but is being chased down by those bricks, trying to get out of range. Autham's also trying to do what they can to force those bricks back. They need to change their angle of fire to here just to protect that Fat Boy. Fat Boy underneath some T3 shielding. It might be enough to save that FAF point, but it's going to be close. Brick's trying to chase it down. I think it will be fine, but it is severely wounded. A couple of Corsairs would easily wipe that out. Colossi over here take out the chicken. Where did the chicken go? I wondered where it went. But the first Colossi has been destroyed. And the Colossus targeting all of the PD emplacement first. Probably should be targeting the T3 units to deal with a lot of the... a lot of the T3 units do more damage. Obviously over time, and the fact that they're mobile and all of that. Strap bombers over the top here for Team 1's Airplay of Fervor, trying to reduce that Colossus's hit points into the yellow. And of course, the damage being augmented a little bit by the Colossus arms. AA trying to be deployed around the Colossus. More units being dropped off very far forward, and a second chicken appears. It will force the Colossus back, if not kill it off. Bombs will continue to drop. That Colossus might just barely get home, but it is sitting at 7,000 hit points. Low, small moving ball tries to catch up to it, doesn't really get anywhere. And now Team 1 will be the benefit of a decent amount of mass from Team 2. Team 1 lost some stuff as well, but again, you're sitting at 13,000 plus all these other units, and 13,000 for here. You definitely got a benefit out of that. Bricks over here in the east going after some T3 Mechs. That's definitely going to hurt Breaking Bad's income quite significantly, losing those T3 Mechs on that eastern side. Air facility being rebuilt here in the north. It's going to be a couple of minutes before Blazer is back online and running. So Team 1 really needs to either just spam out as much air as they can or transition into something else. Looks like they're going to build another Alwasaw bomber, and there is a YOLO planned very interestingly here for Team 1. They are thinking about transitioning. They have an advantage. Team 2 is going to try to derail that advantage, and as they're doing so, Team 1's going to shift gears and go for game enders, which is a really good strategy because you're distracting your opponent with here. This is the thing I'm going to dangle in front of you that I think that I'm making you think that I want, but realistically I care but don't really care. I'm going to go for this other thing. And there should be some engineers coming in to reclaim. There's a couple of experimentals here. There's a monkey and an Alwasaw bomber sitting here. Team 2 desperately needs this reclaim. They're sitting at 2.1 to 1.9, so they've come a little bit up in the eco game, but they're still a decent amount behind. Team 1 at 2.2 million mass. Team 2 at 1.8 million. I think I said that right. So Team 2 being down about 400,000 mass is a lot of mass to be down. The grand scheme of things, I've seen games of 5, 6, 7 million per team, but again, as the gap widens, it significantly hurts Team 2 far more than it hurts Team 1, obviously, because Team 1 is mostly in the lead. And even if Team 1 is losing their lead in the mass game, they're still in the lead, so it's not like you're losing anything. It's essentially saying instead of winning by 15 kills, you're winning by 10 kills or something. Like, you're still winning by 10 kills. Not as much, but you're still winning. Thinking of a deathmatch game from COD or something, just because I saw the announcement of Black Ops 6, which is weird because I played Cold War, so you would think that one is 5, but they're not naming it 5. And kaboom! Bo gets EMP'd, but will be fine for now. Of course, sitting at 45,000 mass. Billy Nuke's landing here from Team 2, most likely from Breaking Bad or from Dragon. I'm assuming Breaking Bad because he's sitting with all of that engineer support. Alwasaw bomber over top, targeting that Fat Boy. Fat Boy will be fine for now, and that bomber takes a lot of damage. Crab is inbound from the Simca, going to walk after Bo's commander. Chicken also nearby. Team 2 is really feeling the heat here. Another Billy Nuke is outbound. Quite a great prediction on where that Crab is going to be sitting. Almost landing on top of the thing. There it is. Barely lands at his feet. Great positioning there. Great kind of leading the shot. Second Crab inbound from Puck. Another bomb is outbound. Still going after Bo's commander. Parashield will block the hit, but he'll still take some damage. He is sitting at 258 hit points a second regen, so he can really just kind of tiz his flesh wound essentially, just not really worry about a lot of the damage. But still, Grab does a lot of damage, and the Chicken does as well. Another Billy Nuke outbound here from Breaking Bad, trying to do what he can to force back Team 1's experimentals or just kill him off. Drops the Chicken into the red. Grab has laser focused on that commander. Commander pushing forward, needs to fall back. Again, sitting at 22,000 hit points and falling. He needs to make sure his path is clear or he probably won't make it out of there. Crab has stopped walking for a brief second. This might be his chance. There are some parachutes coming in to assist. This is the angle of attack. Will it be enough to save Team 2's commander? Drops below 1,500 and there he goes. And that is the first death of the game at shy of 40 minutes. Nasimka will receive the credit for the kill there, and 3 crabs push on forward. 2 FAF boys going to reduce those hit points quite significantly, but it's going to be a lot of damage here on the middle side of the map. Interceptors running around here where Team 2's Blazer trying to do what he can in air and breaking bad control Ks as well. Oh, he's right here. All those engineers are going to die. That's not going to feel good for all those engineers. Hang on a second. There it goes. There they all go. Very much delayed. Control K there. Don't know why he control K'd. Maybe he just thought the game was over at that point. But, I mean, losing one player 40 minutes, not that bad. Honestly, not that bad. Especially when no one has lost any other comms up until that point. And he would have been he would have had everything that essentially Bo had and would have had that transferred over to him. Now Dragon is the recipient of everything that both Breaking and Bo had. And maybe because they're both clan, you know, same clan, that maybe that if one died, the other died kind of thing. I don't really know. But YOLO is coming online. It is almost halfway done. Dot says, what the heck's going on here? No idea. Probably talking about the P-gens, maybe? I don't really know what he's talking about in reference to that. Grabs continue to push forward, but 2 more have been destroyed. 1 more remains. Fat Boy's doing a very good job of blitzing down the rest of those bricks as they're outbound. But Team 2 is definitely not feeling good here at 41 minutes on the clock. T3 air has been reestablished, but the grid is not as strong as it once was. SMDs are loaded. Does Team 1 know about... That was the wrong team. Does Team 1 know about the YOLO? I mean, they can if they hover over it, but at this angle, you're not really going to see it. You're going to see a bunch of, you know, diamonds and squares and think they're building something. Artillery has been built by Team 1, it looks like. Looks like it's outbound from the Seraphim player of Fervor. He's doing very well and just annoying Team 2 quite significantly. I thought I saw another... something? Don't know. Another nuke is going to load here pretty shortly. 117 mass, 1,000 mass killed from that nuke. And Chicken pushing forward here from Fervor, really just doing a number on Team 2's just front line. 4 Colossi trying to chase down that Chicken. There is a Chicken coming in to assist, so that Chicken isn't going to go anywhere, especially with the 4 GCs. Chicken turns around and goes, oh, that's not great. And there go the hit points very, very quickly. 3rd of them opens. And the 4th one doesn't even get a chance to get any credit. Could have crossed the beams there, but didn't decide to do so. Streams, cost the streams, not at beams. Cost the streams, that's the phrase from the movie. Anyway, looks like the Fat Boy is able to exert a decent amount of pressure on Nasimka's forces. We'll probably force them to go all the way around. Looks like the spy planes are doing that. But the Fat Boy would be hard-pressed to shoot shots over this mountainside here, so Nasimka's forces would be well protected. The only downside is that this little narrow environment would essentially create a natural kill box, and Team 2 could easily prepare for that, because they'll see it coming from a mile away. So it's not going to be great. Strap Bombers over here going after the Colossus. It looks like those Colossi need some AA protection. And there they go. They're going to try to move, but get a nice AoE on both of those Colossus. Great position here by Fervor, trying to, again, maximize the damage that's done to his enemy's forces. YOLO is online, 42 minutes on the clock, pumping out nukes as we speak. And it looks like somebody got in the way of some construction, it looks like. Maybe that was what the concern was. Because there's like, hey, there's some P-gens here. You can see he probably wanted to build an artillery piece right here. But somebody got in his way, it looks like. But the YOLO has been completed for Team 1. Team 2 definitely know about it. You would assume that they know about it and see a transport running around trying to act as a nice little shield. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. And our sub-bomber landing more shots somewhere. Artillery doing a very good job of targeting all of the SMDs, I would imagine. Looks like they're going after Dragon Space. There isn't any SMBs in here. Mavor has been started. I don't know if it's going to have enough time, though. Yeah, YOLO is going to pump out nukes like it's going out of style. Team still clicking on the wrong team. Team 2 knows about the YOLO. They can see the icon from space, essentially, but it definitely is obscured by all of those units on the ground. You need to get eyes on it specifically, but Nuke is outbound from that YOLO. Where is it going first? Target anything and everything at this point. Front lines, yep, and that's what he's targeting right now. SMD isn't even loaded, and once the first one fires, if Team 2 isn't paying attention until this point, they will see it. And that nuke is definitely undeniable, and you legitimately cannot miss it unless you're distracted by a bunch of other stuff going on. It looks like the artillery, yep, is trying to target the SMD before the nuke launches, but luckily for them, don't have to worry about that because the SMD didn't even have anything loaded. And boom, there goes that base. Team 2 starting to lose everything on the front lines. ASF count has been at least slowly being rebuilt by Team 2's Blazer. There's a large amount of ASF still lying in wait. They're not even being used. They're kind of just sitting there. YOLO says Blazer. Yep, it is there. Another one is outbound, loading those really quickly there. Another one going to launch. It will be shot down. Actually, no, it will be shot down, but there's only so much that Team 2 can do. They need to just build a bunch of shields and SMDs and call it a day. Unfortunately, you don't have not enough time to build a Mavor. They need a strike force to go in and take out the YOLO. Unfortunately, it's going to be hard-pressed to get in there. There's a lot of AA being built as we speak by Dot. Obviously, there's more AA being built by Loopy just to protect any sort of incursions from the north. There goes that. Actually, it's going to land, surprisingly, just barely out of... Nope, it fired. Okay, I was going to say it looked like it was going to land, but it disappeared off screen, so it looks like it was shot down, but just barely in range, essentially. And then is there really any AA here for... there's a little bit up there, but not much. I mean, Team 2 could build enough strap bombers to try to pierce the shield, but it's going to take a lot, and Team 2 needs to do that now sooner than later. Teleporter is done by Puck, so he's... Okay, regular nuke and super nuke launched at the same time. Puck has the laser on board, and he's teleporting as he speaks. Where is he? As I speak, where is he going? Nuke going to land here. That one is going to land, unfortunately. They're going to teleport right next to Dragon. Do they know where he is? They do know where he is, so they're going to take out another comm here. And there is the signature moving in. Will Team 2's Dragon notice or not? That is the question. I don't know if he will. It's going to be, there it is. Laser is activated. Dragon probably slowed over. Yep, there's that command to move. Doesn't matter. There goes the comm, and kaboom! Takes out another section of Team 2's defenses. Explosion over here as well takes out more of those land units over there in the east. Now large wave of ground forces are inbound for Dot to just carve a path straight forward to Team 2's back line. Nukes are outbound constantly here. Another nuke outbound here from Team 1's Liberator in the west here for Loopy. So 2 players have gone for regular nukes, 1 gone for super nukes. And under the weight of that much firepower, I don't think Team 2 realistically, I mean, they possibly had the time to beat and everything, but Puck Jr. is defeated by Original Angel. Looks like he was going after this emissary, but there's a decent amount of Team 1 PD, I guess, nearby. A lot of it did get destroyed. SMD also got killed off. That's not fun. And looks like he did land next to a P-Gen, so that's also not fun. But Stratformers finish off that emissary anyways. Nuke gonna land on top of Original Angel's base, and that is over for them. Teleporter has been started for Blazer. Another nuke landing down here, just really cleaning up the front line. You hear Awasar Bomber comes in, takes out... Actually, did that impact the wrong thing? Because it looked like they were trying to go for those units, but maybe he just misclicked by accident. Team 2 trying to do what they can to deter Team 1's advancements, but at this point, I mean, Team 1 obviously owns more than 50% of the map at this point and have killed off multiple bases for Team 2. It is just a bloodbath. Not much remaining. Monkey Lord trying to make it to the main base. Might get killed off, but the ASFs here from multiple players on Team 1 will be enough to deter any sort of air resistance. It looks like they might kill off the... Nope, they're going to ASF's going to get out of there. And the Monkey Lord does get killed off. Ion Storm, definitely not the best thing to walk into, I would recommend. There's a decent amount of offense are dying to that. So far, it's killed off 8,000. Killed off 13 units so far. And that FAF point still survives, but the game is essentially over at this point. Well played, says Original Angel. Yeah, Team 1, again, they said, hey, we're targeting your air. You should build your air. And Team 2's like, okay. And then Team 1's like, psych, we're going to build a YOLO and call it a day. And that's essentially what happened. I do like the use of the artillery as a way to try to get the SMD killed off so that the nuke doesn't get shot down. I like that kind of 1-2 punch. It didn't really work, but had there been more artillery built, it probably would have worked quite swimmingly. There goes that nuke. It's going to impact on top of Original Angel. There it goes. And there's no escaping that. The Calm is somehow still alive. He will die, of course. There goes kaboom. Another player killed by Team 2, or on Team 2 by Team 1. Relieving Blazer O'Flasher, the last remaining player on Team 2. He has teleporter and laser, and he's going to teleport. The question is, A, where is he going? And B, can he inflict as much damage as he can? He's going to teleport directly on top of the YOLO. I don't even know if you can do that. And he's halfway done. How's his energy consumption going? And he has a ton of energy reserve, so he'll be fine to teleport in. He's not making it out of there. At least I would not imagine that he would. Looks like he's going to teleport right there. He can't teleport directly on top of the unit. But, nope. And there he goes. wasn't going to do much there, unfortunately, due to the PD emplacements. But he had to try at least. I love the attempt. Unfortunately, it was not enough. And Team 1 wins the game at 48 minutes. MVP, I think. Honestly, I mean, Nisimka did a huge amount of the legwork here, quite literally, on the land side of things, really, pushing back Team 2 back and forth, kind of kept them a lot busy down there. Air player Fervor did a really good job claiming air, used the Awasa, of course, as the main distraction while claiming air and then taking out the air grid here from not Nisimka, that would have been Puck Jr. who died. Taking out that base was very, very crucial in limiting Team 2's ability to fight in the air. I feel like it really comes down to Team 2 just could not respond fast enough to what Team 1 was doing. And even if they did, Team 1 already had another plan. They were working on another project. I mean, as I stated, they're like, okay, we'll kill your ASF off, but start building a YOLO. But we also built an artillery because why not? And we have some nukes. So they have a little bit more kind of, pivoting that they can do. But they went straight for the throat and they got it. And that is the, the YOLO was essentially just nice cherry on top. I feel like if Team 1 didn't go for the YOLO, they would have gone for artillery. They would have gone for more nukes. And just Team 2 wasn't really prepared all that well. I mean, they got more SMDs online eventually, but Team 1 was going to mass load those nukes anyways. I mean, 181,000 killed. 279,000 mass killed and 66,000. So, about almost 500,000 mass killed by 3 nuke launchers. Obviously, one of them being the Super 1 and 2 being the regular ones. But I think MVP might just go to Puck because he really opened the door for Team 2's just wave after wave of success. Nisimka was on the front lines holding ground very well, moving back and forth. He did a very good job there, but I think Puck Jr.'s opening play of I'm going to nuke your base and move, because he could have chose any base, but he chose the air players specifically to allow his teammate of Fervor to get a huge advantage and then switch focus onto the construction of the YOLO. But again, let me know down in the comments who you felt deserves MVP or thoughts in general about the game. And of course, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate all the time and attention you give to each and every one of my videos, and I will see all of you in the next one.